The soul cannot stay where it is. As it is like a leaf surrounded by an ocean of energies, and energies of all kinds. The compassionate energies, the hostile energies, the friendly energies, the unfriendly energies, the innocent energies, the diplomatic, wicked, political, cunning and clever energies, the wise energies, the ignorant energies, the aware energies, the spiritually blind energies, the human energies, the beastly, the inhumane energies, the humble energies, the arrogant energies, the selfless energies, the selfish energies. There are so many kinds of them in this ocean that the soul cannot remain uninfluenced. The soul cannot remain where it is. So in a way it is condemned to flow with the universe. It has got no choice but to flow. So if an effort is not made to help it, to make it elevate, to make it rise, to help it rise, it is destined to fall down into degradation. The making of an effort in Hindi is called jatan or udham or prayas, and the degradation, the falling down from grace, is called patan. So if jatan is not made, if an individual does not make conscious and deliberate and a regular effort towards an uplifting of the soul, what's destined is patan or degradation. By the end of the day, a soul is not what it was when it got up in the morning. It will either have moved up by some amount, no matter how insignificant, or it will have fallen down towards degradation by an amount, no matter how insignificant. The soul will not be what it was in the morning. Similarly, at the end of the month, the soul will not be what it was at the beginning of it. By the end of the month, it will have either moved up or down. At the end of the year, the soul will not be where it was on the 1st of January. It will have either moved up or it will have gone down. As a soul, it is too powerless and too helpless to stay at a spot, to stay in one state of being for very long. It is compelled to flow with the universe, with the cosmos, with the ocean of all kinds of influences, with the ocean of all these energies, with the ocean of all these variables, with the ocean of the flux, the impermanence, the change, the constant change. As a tremendous effort is required by a satellite to leave the earth, to leave the ground and soar up towards the skies, the same way a tremendous effort is required to help the soul rise above the gravity of mass consciousness. To rise, great effort is required because it is not natural. It is not something that can happen by itself. A deliberate, a sincere, and a regular effort will be required. But to fall down, no effort is required, as an object falls towards the ground when thrown towards the sky. The soul falls down into degradation by itself without any effort on the part of the individual. The gravity of the mass consciousness does it. The gravity of the lower vibrations does it. But if you make a sincere effort to pull the soul out of its lower inclinations, its lower tendencies, then there is a complete realm of gods, a realm of energies, a realm of sacred higher dimensions to help you soar up towards liberation, towards the wisdom of the universe, towards the ultimate truth, the ultimate liberation. And this effort is what all the spiritual practice is about. This sincere, deliberate, conscious effort. Now this rising of the soul is so slow, and the increments you make as a practitioner towards the direction you choose, towards your destination, are so small that often a practitioner feels as if nothing at all is happening. In the same way, the degradation of the soul is also so slow that we are unable to detect or notice the degradation. And what's true for an individual soul is also true for a nation as a whole. Nations fall down into degradation, into patan, so slowly and so certainly that by the time the mass realizes it, a complete nation can be found in the gutters of corruption. A society, a civilization can be made to rise towards virtues, towards goodness, real goodness, with deliberate effort. Although the rising up or the falling down is very hard, very subtle to detect or notice, but it is absolutely certain. And a practitioner has to be very acutely conscious, very acutely aware of these subtle changes, these subtle ups and downs. And if he or she is conscious enough, that element of witnessing can transform both the ups and downs into a growth. And that growth will be absolute, it will be certain. So that leaves a lot of margin, a lot of space for the practitioner to be optimistic, to be cheerful about it, to be able to gain both from the ups as well as the downs, to be able to grow from both the pleasures and the pains, to be able to grow from both the crests and the troughs of the whole process of evolution, of learning. When a sincere effort is made by an individual soul to soar up towards purity, towards innocence, the higher realms also try to reach out to that soul to help it do so. And that is what Guru Kripa is all about. Without yatan, without effort, you cannot become a recipient of Guru Kripa. You cannot deserve it, and without a cooperation from the soul to fall down from where it is towards degradation, towards corruption, the mass cannot compel it to do so. So in both the cases, whether a soul rises or falls from where it is, the cooperation of the soul with the direction, with the chosen direction, is necessary, is a prerequisite. A practitioner should become aware of this choice, this expenditure of the free will, this use of the free will. The practitioner should not leave it in the hands of the mass consciousness to take it down, and he or she also should not leave it in the hands of the higher realms to pull it up, to pull it out. The individual soul should be strong enough to shoulder this responsibility of wisely using the free will, of intelligently using the freedom it has got, and not blame either the realms above or the realms down for what shows up in the environment around it in the form of situations and circumstances. Now the effort required to rescue a soul from the clutches of mass consciousness is tremendous. Imagine a boulder or a big rock. Now if you were to take it uphill, tremendous effort would be required. But if it were on the top and you were to slide it down, even a child could do it with the push of a finger. So degradation is easy, but elevating yourself to a higher level requires a great effort, a lot of strength, and a lot of persistence. A lukewarm approach to spiritual practice or half-hearted attempts are not going to bear very encouraging fruits. A lukewarm approach is not going to produce any substantial gains, any significant upgrading or elevation of the soul. Because of the prana it contains, a soul is continuously in contact with all the life forces around. It cannot isolate itself. It cannot immune itself from the influences surrounding it. So if you have got one reason to rise, there are 100 temptations trying to take you down. So there is a continuous struggle between your desire to be free and the 10,000 things that can keep you entangled in the sansara, that will try to postpone your salvation, that will try to prolong your stay in the world. Dealing with this struggle is sadhana. Dealing with this inner Kurukshetra is dharma. Dealing with this subtle inner tension between two opposing forces, between two opposing gravities, is spirituality. Another of the challenges that a practitioner has to face is that those who are not strong enough and honest enough to self-analyze and rise feel uncomfortable or uneasy in the presence of the man or woman of truth. The reason being that truth can be very dazzling for those who wish to live in the dark. There are very few who are inspired by the presence of a man or woman of truth, who are inspired by the strength of someone. Most of the ones who are not strong enough to join someone in such an endeavor try to pull him or her down in strange and complex ways. Therefore, a practitioner, a man or woman of truth, a man or woman of the way, has to be very careful in protecting his spirituality from the degrading influences of those who are not sincere and strong enough to join him or her in his adventure, in his seeking. If you are really serious about your spiritual growth, and if you don't want to postpone your metamorphosis as a soul, if you don't want to postpone your awakening, if you have had enough of the spiritual slumber, the spiritual laziness, then you must realize that the molecule or atom which your whole incarnation is made up of is your daily routine. So if you wish to see any substantial change, any substantial growth, any substantial expansion as a consciousness, as a being, then you will have to design a routine for yourself in which there is a lot of deliberate and conscious effort to pull yourself out of mass consciousness, to pull your soul out of the clutches of the elements that imprison it, that captivate it, that are tied around it like chains. Getting up early in the morning, then having a full body bath and meditating or reciting the name of God can prove to be one of the major breakthroughs for a soul to overcome the plateau of stagnancy, to go beyond the plateau of stagnancy, or to go beyond all the dark nights of the soul. Getting up early in the morning, then going for a full body bath and meditating or reciting the name of God can prove to be a major breakthrough for a soul to go beyond all the plateaus of stagnancy, of laziness, of spiritual laziness. It can be a way of proving yourself to yourself that there is effort in your life, there is uddham in your life, there is jatan in your life, there is prayas in your life. Throughout the day, you should look for ways in which you consciously step out of your comfort zone and make deliberate and conscious effort to sculpture your soul, to sculpture your being, and to spend your time in a way that is in synchronization with your higher desires, with your higher aspirations. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the month, and at the end of the year, monitor your progress as a being, as an individual, as a soul, as an incarnation. Because if you are not making any progress at the end of the year, if you are not making any progress at the end of the month, if you are not making any progress at the end of the day, then whether you admit it or not, but the truth is that you are where you are, that you have become a slave of your habits and addictions. So as a practitioner, monitor your progress and then find and design ways to upgrade your daily routine, to add effort to it, to add yatan to it, to add udham to it, to rise as a soul, to provide your own self with strength, with sincerity, and with an empowering attitude. How you design your daily routine shows how you are using your free will, how you are using the resources available to you for your own growth and expansion, for your own liberty. The Buddhas, the Mahavirs, and the Christs that we refer to did not have any 25th hour in their day. They had the same 24 hours that we have all got. So how we use them, how we design them, is going to decide what we shall make out of our incarnation, how we will spend our lifetime. The most intelligent use of free will is to design a routine that is liberating, that helps you grow, that helps you expand, and that helps you to become a blessing for the rest of the existence and not a curse, that helps you rise as a speck of life towards the higher realms, the higher dimensions of it, the higher planes of it, that assists you in reaching out to immortality and eternal bliss. Life is not about some big bangs, some giant miracles. Life is all about the little choices we make every day, the little difference we make every day with our choices. When it is early morning, you can get up for your daily meditation, or you can sleep for another 3 or 4 hours. Getting up is a choice. Sleeping is a choice. When you are having a meal, you can eat just enough, or you can overeat. You can exercise self-control and eat only the amount that is just enough for you, or you can overeat. Self-control is a choice. Overeating is a choice. If you are receiving a call on the phone, you can be rude, you can be polite. Rudeness is a choice. Politeness is a choice. If you are interacting with someone, you can be compassionate, you can be cold and indifferent, or even hostile and aggressive. Compassion is a choice. Indifference is a choice. Hostility is a choice. Aggression is a choice. If you have got an hour at your disposal and you are just sitting doing nothing, you can spend that hour feeling jealous of someone, hating someone, or licking your wounds, your emotional wounds. Or you can spend that hour in gratitude, in thankfulness and gratefulness. Jealousy was a choice. Hatred was a choice. Devotion is a choice. If your thoughts happen to remind you of someone who had wronged you, you can either think in terms of revenge, Or you can think in terms of forgiveness. Revenge is a choice. Forgiveness is a choice. So whether we know it or not, whether we are conscious of it or not, every day we make hundreds of choices, and if not 100, then at least quite a few dozen of them. And it is these choices, it is these small little decisions that decide the direction of our incarnation, the direction of our life, the direction of our soul. It's these little choices that go to make a big difference. So nothing in this life is insignificant. No act is trivial. No day is ordinary. It's all very significant. It's all very important and to be taken very seriously. It's all an expenditure of our free will, of our freedom. We can use that freedom to become a captive again, or we can use that freedom to free ourselves, to liberate even more of ourselves. So the molecule of our life is our daily routine, and it really requires an attention. It really requires a designing by you. It requires your consideration. It requires it to be noticed by you and to be monitored by you. If there is a habit or addiction that is ruining your physical, mental or spiritual health, you can keep on indulging in it, or you can decide to quit. You can decide to renounce that habit, that addiction. Indulgence is a choice. Quitting is a choice. If there are relationships in your life, in your personal world, that are not in tune with your spiritual aspirations, with your higher expectations of yourself, keeping those relationships going is a choice. Deciding to end them on a fine note is a choice. How you deal with your friends, how you deal with your enemies, how you deal with your relatives, how you deal with those who need your guidance, how you deal with those who are guiding you. It's all a choice. If you are facing financial problems, deciding to do something about them is a choice. Deciding to do nothing about them is another choice. If you are living in an environment that is not congenial, that is not healthy for you, for your growth, for your well-being and the well-being of your family, your immediate family, your immediate small community, keeping on living in that locality is a choice. Leaving it or making arrangements for such a change is another choice. So every choice is either a yatan, a rising, or an effort to rise, or it is a patan, a drift towards deterioration and degradation. Your spirituality can be compared to a garden. And if you have ever been away from your home for a few months, you know what a garden becomes in the absence of a caretaker. All this unwanted stuff starts growing everywhere, and it all loses its beauty. So every now and then, the lawn needs to be mowed, the grass needs to be cut, the flowers need to be taken care of, and the plants and trees need to be trimmed. The unwanted stuff needs to be removed, and everything needs to be designed and taken care of. Everything needs to be attended to. So spirituality also cannot be left to itself. There's this story of a small child, of a farmer, of a peasant. When they were standing in the fields amidst their crop, the child, out of curiosity, asked his parent, his father. He said, "Father, how do we differentiate between the crop and the weed? Because they all look the same to me." And the father said, "Dear child, that which needs attention to grow, that which has to be taken care of is the crop, and that which grows by itself is the weeds." So in our spirituality also, that which needs to be cultivated, that which needs our attention and our care is the crop, and that which can grow by itself, the disempowering habits and addictions, those are the weeds. They are the unwanted stuff. Weeds can grow in a garden or a crop by themselves because they are sponsored by the existence. They are sponsored by the soil, by the earth. Similarly, our habits and addictions, especially the ones that don't serve us in a positive way, can flourish, can grow by themselves because they are sponsored by the mass consciousness, by the ocean of influence around us, by the ocean of the contemporary thought, the contemporary consciousness. The crop needs the attention of the farmer. The flowers need the attention of the gardener because they are the cultivation of the gardener or the farmer. So our spiritual growth, our liberty, our expansion, our wisdom is our cultivation. It needs our attention. It needs our deliberate effort. It needs our conscious effort. Although there is no fixed formula or no fixed rule for monitoring your spiritual progress, but to help you do so, I would like to suggest a few ways to make sure how you are doing spiritually on the spiritual front. One way is to write at least 10 changes that you would like to make in your life in the various arenas, in the various departments such as your health, your financial standing, the quality of your relationships, your professional success, or your inner liberty, your inner environment, your spiritual environment. So you write these changes on a piece of paper, and then after a month, let's say on the first of every month, you take a quick look at them to see how much progress you have been able to make in each of these areas, in each of them. Another way to monitor your progress is to renounce, to completely give up habits and addictions that are harmful for you, that are disempowering for you. So whether it is the gaining or losing of weight, whether it is improving your eating and drinking habits, whether it is the giving up of an addiction, whether it is improving upon your financial health, cultivating more discipline in your daily routine, whether it is increasing your work hours or improving the quality of them. So you monitor your progress in all these changes and changes of such kind that you would like to see in your life, that you would like to make in your life for better living, for a happier and healthier living, for a more blissful living, for a more harmonious living. Still another way of monitoring your progress is to observe closely the nature of your bouts with anger and lust. I have taken anger and lust here because they are easy to recognize by the practitioner. Although any element inside is equally powerful and is equally significant as far as your conquering of it or transcending it is concerned. So every now and then you should try to take a note of how empowering or how overwhelming your anger and your lust are, and where does your witness, your awareness stand in comparison to these forces inside, these elements inside. Because the nature of your bouts with these elements is an exact measuring of the strength of your witness. And the witness is the secret of spirituality. The witness is the secret of inner liberty, inner salvation. The witness is the secret of nirvana. Now there are a few things that from my own experience I know, if included in the design of your daily routine, are guaranteed to provide you with a spiritual progress, a spiritual success, a move forward. The first is 2 hours of reciting the name of God after having a full body bath or Kesi Ishnan. The second is an hour of listening to the words or sermons of realized beings such as Baba Ram Das and Acharya Rajneesh. The third is an hour of just sitting quietly with as many moments of thoughtlessness or emptiness or no mind as possible. The fourth is an hour of pranayam or mindful breathing. The fifth is an hour of reading from the sacred texts, the sacred books like the Quran, the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, and Guru Granth Sahib. So if you include these in your daily routine, they can provide you with 6 hours of a spiritual effort, 6 hours of jatan, 6 hours of udham. You can add to that list from the variety of methods and techniques available that are compatible with your soul, that are compatible with your temperament, and create for yourself a beautiful routine, design for yourself a beautiful day that can promise spiritual progress that can promise substantial spiritual gains, that can promise substantial positive results you would like to see in your life. Because an intelligently designed daily routine is the secret of spending the human incarnation in a wise way, like a wise one.